Welcome to the Eagle Eye Podcast, the #1 show to bring you all things Club America in English. Your hosts for today, Ivan Pineda, Christian Rosendo, and everyone's favorite cowboy, Dylan Jimenez. Let's start the show.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Eagle Eye Podcast, the #1 podcast that does not have interruptions, as you guys will see later on in the show. But we have plenty to talk about today. We have, of course, the Clasico Hoban to break down. We're going to be talking about that 0-0 that we got at the Azteca. And then, of course, we're going to be looking ahead onto the Clasico Capitalino against Pumas, in where will we have enough players to even play that game? Well, you're going to have to wait and find out later on in the show. But as always, joining me tonight is my two co-hosts from New York. It is Brooklyn's very own AJ and New York's favorite resident, Christian Rosendo. Gentlemen, how are we?
I'm doing good. Thank you for asking, Ivan. How about you?
Doing good, doing fine. It's a Tuesday. Can't complain too much about it. Christian, how's life over there?
He's on me.
Oh,
I'm on mute because I'm watching this you know what I'm watching. Anyways, life is good right now. School stressful like always, but happy to be on another podcast talking about our America, which I think we have lots to discuss about today. So this should be a good one.
Definitely. Our beloved Cowboy will be joining us any minute now, but he is working behind the cameras right now. So any second now, he will be joining us. But okay, gentlemen, like we just mentioned, a lot to talk about because we got to really break down everything that happened against the Cruz Azul game, everything that happened prior to the Cruz Azul game and afterwards, because I know, Christian, you're going to have quite the injury updates to give us. So, I mean, let's just roll right into it, and let's talk about that 0-0 result that America ends up walking away with. Really, before we go and break down this game into what we think it was or what a lot of people thought it was, kind of give me your guys' kind of reaction, or at least how are you feeling walking away from this game, knowing that at least America got a point, got a clean sheet. I mean, sure, we didn't look at our best, but I think in hindsight, with everything that's going on in the club right now, I think it's a pretty decent point.
I guess I'll go first. Just to put it out there, I don't think a draw in any Clasico or in any game, as a matter of fact, is a good result for us. But I think, Ivan, you make a really good point with just everything surrounding the club right now. Injuries, I guess we're all assuming. It's a good result in the moment, and you know we don't lose a point. We don't lose 2 points. You know we're still theoretically kind of in the same position in the table. We're doing well for ourselves in route to another playoffs. So, overall speaking, it's a good result, but I think we could have done a little bit better in terms of the chances that we were given, that maybe potentially we could have walked away with 3 points.
Yeah, I guess at the end of the day, it really was anyone's game, although I think maybe the tide is a little bit tipped a little bit more to Cruz Azul. But AJ, talk to me a little bit more about this game. How did you feel walking away after those 90 minutes?
This is like currently how I was feeling throughout the entire match. I was just kind of, having like this pillow right here, this Club America pillow. I just had my head on there. I was kind of asleep because that game, it was just overall a struggle to watch. I have no idea what happened to America, honestly, after like the first half, because it seemed like at that point we were just struggling left and for the most, I feel like we were just struggling. And in my eyes, it just felt like America weren't really making the most out of it because it seemed like Cruz Azul were just knocking on our doors every single time. They were just getting opportunities left and right. Yes, some of their shots were off target, but in a way, it just kind of was just scaring America. It was just kind of scary in a way for me. That's how I was seeing this match. It was just not a fun time for America. We got a draw though. We got a draw, so that there's something to go with that. But I didn't really enjoy this match overall. This just wasn't a fun time for me. And I feel like it just wasn't a fun time for America. Oscar Jimenez did play amazing, though, and taking Ochoa's spot. He had a blast, just making saves left and right for us and keeping America into this game, along with some defensive efforts from the defense. But just all in all, it just wasn't a fun time.
No, I think you're correct. I think it was an enjoyable game, and it's completely different from kind of what we were feeling a week ago after that Chivas game, whilst I wouldn't say that we played our best game that game either, but I think it was a two different spectrums. I think at the end of the day, because America does walk away with all 3 points. But let's start at the beginning with this one. And by the beginning, I mean right before this match even starts. So obviously we had confirmed your guys' lineup, which was going to be Memo Ochoa, and then of course the back five, and so on and so forth. But the big news coming out minutes before the warm up, minutes before the match started, during warm up, looks like Ochoa pulled a bit of a muscle, and then of course is taking off. And like you mentioned, AJ, Oscar Jimenez have to replace him, and I think that really spoke to what America's season it has been going like. You know, we ride on a high for a little bit, and then all of a sudden an injury comes, and just we're completely back at square one in regards to how this team is playing, how we're going to come out, what kind of formation we're going to use. And then of course as the game progressed, we ended up getting two more injuries after that. Of course, you get Aguilera, who has to get taken off, and then you get Cáceres, who also has to be taken off. So I mean, that's two center backs out of the five. That's out of your five back defense. You lose two to injury. You lose your goalkeeper beforehand. I mean, Christian, what's going on in America? Is this really have to go down to the kind of training management and the physical trainers, or are we just cursed? Does America just have bad luck?
Listen, this is a topic I think that has been surrounding this institution for a very long time now. We can go back maybe 4 seasons ago when injuries first started being relevant in Club America and just impacting us almost on a weekly basis, it seems like. But to have 3 injuries in one match, and typically, like you said, I think all muscular in a way, I think it's Piojo likes to kind of go away from the theory that it could be the training or the trainers. My bad. He doesn't like to put them at fault. He likes to include external factors, which to some extent he is correct. Some players are doing more work than others during the week, so I do understand that, more rigorous work. But at the same time, though, you have other players who aren't doing those same rigorous extra work, and they're still getting injured, and more frequently than others too. So definitely, I think it's time to start asking questions within the training staff and what is going on there, because no other team in Liga MX has the same injury problem but us, and it's getting to a point where we're going to start losing important players and more down the road, closer to playoff time, and then we're just going to be left with people that we don't really have much trust in, and that's not going to be a good look for us, because then, well, come playoff time, we're not going to have the strongest line that we can, and that might not go in our favor.
Okay, well, I do want to jump back into this whole injury stuff, and I think that's something that we're heavily going to talk about later on in the podcast. But I think let's talk about the game first, and then we can get into a little bit more of what's going on in America in regards to, injuries and stuff like that. AJ, I know you have quite the specialties when it comes to kind of these things. I know you're studying for this type of stuff, so I'm definitely going to ask for your input and ask for your 2 cents in regards as to how you think America can fix this, and so on and so forth. But let's talk a little bit more about this game, because I think America showed very promising signs in the opening 25 minutes of the match. I think, moving the ball a lot. We were actually taking the game to Cruz Azul. We looked very energized. We looked like we were ready to give it everything that we have to do. But then, I don't know, there was kind of a stepping off period for America, in which I think they let Cruz Azul settle into the match. And because we didn't take our chances early on in this game, I think it just kind of played the narrative of what was going to be for the rest of this match. I think Cruz Azul settled into the game. They started moving the ball more. And like you mentioned, Christian, we had no midfield because of this formation. And because of that, we just gave Cruz Azul the ball too much. And we didn't really have a response. And we didn't really have an answer as to not only how we were going to contain Cruz Azul, but how could we go and then go up on their half and try to create something. So I'm just curious to see what you think about this formation, 5-3-2 again, featuring against a team like Cruz Azul. And then 2, what do you think went wrong for America? Why was there kind of this stepping off period?
Obviously, you guys know my thoughts on the 5-3-2. I don't think we need to get into that again. Thankfully Brian's not here, or else this would be a little bit better than the presidential debate we just had. But I mean, honestly, in some parts of the match, in the first half, I think it did well for us, because I think it just allowed us to kind of just the constant aggression on their side, and then when they did have the ball and attack us, we had enough to kind of sustain the pressure. But I think that's just about it, and I think that's where all of our concerns come is we did get to their half, and we did get these kind of looks in the box. But in terms of real dangerous chances, I think we only could count maybe two out of the whole match, and that to me is very, very concerning, considering the players that we have. So definitely not the brightest of attacking days for the number one attacking team in the league. But I think credit where credit's due. I think Cruz also did a good job in kind of containing us, and is just having answer for almost everything we put out. And I think that kind of just falls back on a little bit on Piojo, just not adjusting to what they were doing defensively, and so on and so forth. And then in terms of the stepping back, I think you said it. You said the answer. I think in the second half, Caruso just adjusted to what America was doing. Obviously the injuries didn't help. They kind of took advantage of that a little bit, and you did kind of see a more Cruz Azul attacking half from them in the second. But overall, I think America went toe to toe with them. I know everyone else has different views on the game. I know all you guys think that Cruz will kind of just danced on us a little bit, but I honestly don't see it that way. I think it was maybe 50-50. But I think credit where credit is due to our defenders that stepped in. Ramon Juarez, I think came in this match and kind of just played lights out for us. AJ, I think this is something you should be very excited about. That considering you were the ones that kind of said that could have still kind of mopped us a little bit. You're not really giving credit to your boy Ramon Juarez, who I think stepped in a crucial moment of the match too, and played I think out of his mind.
Yeah, no, because he had a job to fill, and if I'm not mistaken, he substituted who was, because I was doing hard to that. He subbed in for, was it Cáceres or
Aguilera?
Cáceres at the 39th.
So yeah, it was in the 38 minutes, you already had a job to do, because he started already, but it's one of those things in a Clasico you're thrown right in. He did play against Chivas Lab, but this time it's you're playing way more minutes than you're supposed to, and for someone who is a key part of our defense, Cáceres just getting injured, Ramon Juarez and me already knew what to do from the get-go. And yeah, you mentioned, Christian, you said that Crusoe were knocking on our door, but it's defense, but credit to the defense, they were all doing a good job along with Oscar Jimenez and trying to make sure that Crusoe weren't getting anything going, which is what I was really happy about Ramon Juarez. He's getting consistent, how should I say, consistent good performances as he performs, which is what I like seeing from him. But then at the same time as well, it's just I mean, considering what the injuries that we have to our defenses, it's we did all that we can, which in our part, it's good considering that with the injuries that we just had to Cáceres and Emmanuel Aguilera, who just had to get subbed off, due to injuries, we surprisingly held on to our own and did well towards the very end. So in a way, I guess in a way I can see what you're saying. It's the 50-50 from, because I feel Christian, because I feel both teams were making an effort in trying to score goals. It may seem like one team, because I'm looking at what Crusoe, they had the chance, but it seemed all their shots, it's it was going way above that crossbar. It seemed they were kind of looking careless with the ball. While I feel America, with some of the chances they had, they were chances that actually were close to hitting, Cordobas's first attempt at goal, the ball just went slightly over, and then we had Henry Martin's header, which actually got Coron to actually go move towards the ball and try to save it, which almost went in. And then I think you said at some other point, Christian, that Cordoba did happen to get another shot on target, so that's something to look at. But I felt in this one, Gusto were a bit more dumb towards the very end, because I felt it was the tale of two halves kind of thing, where it seemed the first minutes in that first half, it's just yeah, America, we're looking really good. Gusto were kind of unsure to what to really do at that point. But then the second half, I guess then it was their time to show up and then try to do something to America, in which how that all ended up. That just ended up in a boring 0-0 draw.
I think you have to kind of take into perspective the fact that, whilst America held their own, I think some criticism will definitely fall on Cruz Azul, because you look at the players that were in that back five, even after the injury to Cáceres, and you have, Ramon Juarez, who's, this youngster, and then you have Aguilera, which we know is very unreliable, and then you have Luis Fuentes, who isn't naturally even a center back, that isn't even fit. So I guess some criticism will fall on Cruz Azul, because you would imagine at the beginning of the season, if I told you that was our formation against the top leading team in Liga MX, you would have been worried that we were just going to concede goals left, right, and center. But I mean, some credit I do think Cruz will merit some criticism in on that aspect. But Dylan, I'm curious to hear your opinion in regards to what you think this match was for America. At the end of the day, we know that it wasn't the best result, and definitely not the greatest of play. How much responsibility do you think falls on that kind of creative half for America? I'm talking Cordoba, Benedetti, Henry, even Gio.
Well, I mean, you go back and look at the first half. I mean, there was only one shot on goal. I mean, getting my stats from SofaScore here, but I just feel like this was a pretty dull game for me. I feel like it was boring. I mean, I was falling asleep. I was yawning. I was tired. You said it yourself. This first half, I feel like we could have put something away, but we didn't. Besides that one shot on goal. So, you got to go back and look at it, and you still got to hit the training ground. I feel like this team, it's like the 10th Tornada, but I still feel like we're just barely on the second one with this team, especially with all the injuries that we're plagued with. I feel like some of this team still is having trouble gelling to some extent for some players, especially since a lot of players are getting moved around and some are getting brought in. But at the end of the day, not an ideal result like you and Christian were talking about. But given these circumstances, I think we're kind of a bit lucky to walk away with the draw, considering the players that Cruz Azul has.
Yeah, that's why I said, some criticism will definitely fall on them because I think they had the better talent pool up forward and they didn't really take advantage of it. But am I the only one that wasn't falling asleep watching this game? Because it seems like everyone's saying that this was a boring match.
I
And
wasn't.
I didn't really
in the
see it
second
that
half,
way.
in second half, I could agree. It got a little bit dull, but I think that's due to the fact that to make my point, it was just a lot of back and forth in the midfield. Nothing really too exciting going on, and that's why I don't really understand the comments of Cruz Azul wiping us throughout the whole match. So that's where I'm getting my confusion, because like you, Ivan, I wasn't really falling asleep. I was enjoying it. It was actually a pretty entertaining match for me, I guess. Just a lot of back and forth in the midfield, like me and Dylan just agreed on. So no, Ivan, I wasn't falling asleep. It was definitely a little bit more entertaining, but I think we keep reiterating. We had chances in the first half. We had two clear chances in the first half, and there's those chances that could have won you the game, and unfortunately it didn't, and it just came back to haunt us.
Yeah, I think we see a different America side once we take an early lead rather than when we don't. And I think this is the first time that we don't really see that happen for America. And that wasn't really the response that you wanted. But then again, of course, all these external factors, I mean, it's not that we're trying to make excuses for the players, because there is no excuse. We play for America regardless of who you are. When it's your turn to be on the pitch, you should be ready to give 110% and go out and win the game. But yeah, it was very lackluster from America, and I think, why I think Cruz Azul was the better team, at least from my perspective, was because of the back and forth they were saying in the midfield. I think America had no answer for Cruz Azul at all in the second half. Benedetti was just a spark, and that was it. Just a spark at the end of the day. We were relying too much on individual performances to bail us out in this game, and quite frankly, that's not something that you want to see from an America. Like Dylan said, 11, 12 jornadas in already. That shouldn't be the case for America. We should have been more gelled by now. We shouldn't be relying solely on an individual talent from Gio, who I thought actually looked very well against Cruz Azul. Benedetti, again, the other person that I thought looked really good against Cruz Azul. But, I mean, those are really my only two key players that I can highlight. I'm not going to say Cordova had a bad game, because I think he just had a lot of things to do, that he was just kind of all over the pitch trying to take care of as much as he could. I mean, Richard, again, just was there, didn't really hold that center defensive mid role the way we want him to. Again, but you're asking a lot for one player to cover a lot of ground, in which, I mean, granted, you were able to do that with Guido, but again, we're talking about two different players here. So it was just frustrating to see that America had no answer for Cruz Azul, and that the midfield battle was completely won by them. They moved the ball around however they wanted to. Granted, we did do fairly well to close down some spaces. I mean, you saw them get a couple of shots in the second half, which I think, credit to Jimenez. I think his positioning was very well. I don't think there was ever one world-class save that you just thought, my goodness, how did he, pull this one off? But, credit to him, because I think he came in, stepped up, did a really good job. But, again, I just want to see more from our players going forward. Because like you
It's
mentioned,
tough.
Christian, we're supposed to be the best attacking team, yet I mean, we kind of look
It's
like
tough.
Mazatlan going forward.
Correct. And I don't like to make excuses, and I'm trying my best not to sound like it, even though it does sound like it, but we all have to take in consideration everything that's going on, injuries every single week, formation changes every single week. We talk about this kind of consistency that we want to see from our team, but how can there be consistency if we don't even have consistency with our formation, the players that we put out on the pitch? It's one thing to do it in the training ground, but it's a whole other thing to do it on game day. And I think that's where our major issue is that we never ever have a complete squad for more than, I guess, 4 weeks. And it's very hard to turn around a team or to get them to play a certain way when you have them for a week or two, and then one key element goes down. You have to bring another one, and now that element has to get adjusted. And once he does, boom, another one goes down, and then you kind of have to readjust to that.
Okay, yeah, I agree, and I think this is a perfect segue to talk about these injuries that continue to plague us and kind of debate a little bit as to who's at fault here. Is it the staff? Is it the trainers? Is it is it Jibet? Or his name is Jibet, right?
Gilbert Becerra, yes.
Yes. Okay.
I'm gonna call him Gibber.
Yeah, we'll call him Gibber. Welcome to the Eagle Eye Podcast, Gibber. Is it Gibber's fault? At what extent do you also blame external factors like Miguel Herrera said, the Mexican national team and the training that they had to do prior to this game and having to work and all that stuff? And then how much credit or how much liability also falls on the player themselves?
Definitely.
So here's my first question. I'm gonna throw it to AJ first because I think this is his specialty here, and because he's studying to be an expert at the sports therapy. So AJ, from your perspective, from what you've learned, from what you're studying, from everything that that you've kind of grasped, where do you fall in between these lines of, is it the trainer's fault? Is it the player's fault? Is it these external factors like the Mexican national team training camps? Where do you fall? Where does your expertise tell you that things have been going wrong for America in this department? So talk to me, Doc. What's going on with our players?
Like there's many factors to consider. Like as you mentioned, like the external factor of training with the Mexican national team. You have two things to worry about. You got one, you have to start practicing with the team. You're gonna be practicing along with the team, and then you have to then practice with the national team. So that's just like twice the amount of work you're gonna be doing. It's the same kind of drills you're probably doing as you're doing in one team. Like as a goalkeeper, you're doing your saves, you're running around, you're doing for the passes. All of that everything's expected in a goal, and you're going to be doing something similar to that to the national team. So then at some point, you're going to have a lot of fatigue around with your body. It's kind of like one of those things, like how much can your body really handle it? But then at the same time, it's one of those things that seems like, are the fitness trainers really doing their job? I'm pretty sure like they tell them that's the most important thing. You're supposed to stretch before doing any kind of physical activity, as you don't want to strain or you want your muscles to be completely tense. But it's just one of those things I'm trying to figure out, like the constant injuries that we're getting at Club America, and we're just seeing this is not happening to any other team in the Liga MX. It just kind of like leave me dazzled. It's like, is the medical team really doing their job? Are they really identifying the issues that this player seems to have? Are they forgetting like maybe they should be, in therapy or in rehab for a bit more to let that injury completely heal up? Because it seems like with Manuel Aguilera, the injury he's got, from what I was looking, looks like it was from an adductor, so it's like it's a groin muscle injury in this case, and where people are saying it's from the same area again. But that's starting to worry me. It's like, if the injury's happening in the same place over again, it's then making me wonder: did the fitness trainers take all the precautions necessary? Did they follow all the steps that they want that player to follow exactly in order to prevent something like this from happening again? And knowing when you're getting this injury in the same area again, it could leave you sidelined even longer, which is, you definitely don't want this, especially in the situation that America is currently dealing with. And you have Ochoa. He pretty much injured his left big toe, which is on the flexor longus muscle. So this gets out. He's out for 4 to 6 weeks. You could sing with the amount of you're going to constantly be doing as a goalkeeper. on the Mexico national team and for Club America, it's just putting in alone like a lot for your body to like really do. So just from there on there, I feel like it's honestly fatigue. What's kind of, I know they're professional athletes; they should be able to match things like this. But I feel when you're having to then balance two different things, especially in the same week, like we just had the Clasico home, and then the next you then had the practice against Guatemala, but now that's completely not happening. And then from Sebastian Cáceres, it's so he looks like he was limping on thigh. Usually, it depends how serious it could be. Taking recovering like maybe 2, 3, or 4 weeks in this case. But then just like it's a thing over again. It seemed like some of these players just happen to just get injured like at some of the worst times. Like Gus' injuries that happened in the 39th minute, and for someone that's constantly starting every single time, it's just like leave me so confused to saying like why are some of the most important players in this team, or just any player, matter of fact, are just getting injured left and right. And I think, as Christian mentioned at one point, even the players that don't really even play at all, they're just sitting on the bench like a couple minutes in, 10 minutes or something, they're already like picking up an injury. And it's like wondering, are they not really doing any kind of exercise at Coapa? Like, do they not do their stretches? Are the fitness trainers at Club America not giving them the necessary exercise that everyone's supposed to be doing? It's just things like this is just making me confused. It's like, what's going on here? Is it the external forces on some of these players like Ochoa, Sebas Cordova? I know he's not injured, but just mention this case, or like Jorge Sanchez like be called to the national team. They didn't get injured at all, so that's making me wonder, are they following the things they're supposed to be doing? While Ochoa, on the other hand, maybe wasn't he not following the things? I'm pretty sure. It seemed from the look at your face.
Ochoa just like, I'm old enough.
I feel like I don't know. Okay,
do.
I feel like Ochoa's injured. We kind of need to leave out of this picture only because, I think that was just kind of not like a fluke, but it was just kind of kind of just like a random thing. I guess it's just spontaneous out of nowhere, right?
Yeah,
exactly. There you go. That's the word. That's the word. Unfortunate. And I don't think it's fair for Piojo to kind of blame the national team because this has never really happened before. It's not fair at all. There's no fair.
This is like
so how come in other previous call-ups he didn't get injured? How come in this one where he gets injured, obviously before a Clasico, he has to play in the national team?
I think it's fair because I think we don't know what happens behind closed doors. They get an update by the physicians over there in the Mexican national team, and it's like, hey, look, he might be carrying something. Then he might be carrying something, and I'm pretty sure they didn't overwhelm him at the America training camp.
And how do you know? How do you know it wasn't picked up at America camp, brought to the Mexico camp, made it worse by the Mexico camp, and then resulting in that injury?
This is the same Mexico camp that when Ochoa was injured before the Gold Cup final, they were like, "Yo, you're gonna play, regardless. Now you're playing." And they came out after the final that he was injured, wasn't he?
I mean, I don't think Ochoa would have backed down either way.
I know exactly, but it's just like, okay, so if this is the risk that they're willing to take, who's to say that they're not going to partake and be like, okay, yeah, he might be having a little bit of an injury, but here you go, he's back with you guys
for a friendly against Guatemala.
I figure
I don't know.
It's one of those things like some people put the blame like on the Mexico national team, or they put at club at the same time. Like, you're an athlete, if you're going to be called to do both of those things and you agree to it, it's like, okay, that's on you. Maybe at some point, if you're feeling some kind of discomfort, maybe the player should say to the physician, to the fitness trainer, like, hey, I'm feeling some kind of discomfort here. It's like, can I just like take a break? Yeah, I know, like, we don't know what truly happens, but it should be one of those instances where I feel like if a player's feeling some kind of discomfort in an area, they will usually maybe go off to the sideline. Like, some things like they do report, like in training camps, are like, oh, the player decides to like just take a break or left training due to some kind of injury. In this thing, it's like, if you know you're going to be playing for both games, like it feels as though you should be physically and mentally prepared to be able to play in both for the Mexico national team and for your club teams. So in this case, it's like for Ochoa. In this case, I feel like a factor, maybe age can just be catching up too, and maybe he just doesn't have the same physical levels as he used to, even though despite we've been seeing him, he's been good throughout the entire time up until this point. And I just maybe feel like at the same time, with you adding in with COVID-19, what's going on, they're throwing in the international break right there. And then you have like the league schedules where, for America, they had to play 3 Clásicos back to back to back. So you're already going to be having your players train extra hard for these upcoming games. And then while players like Ochoa, Sebas, and Jorge Sanchez, they have to also be prepared for these Clásicos and for the Mexico national team. So it's just one of those things. It's like, if you're going to agree to go do something, you get called up, that's your job. You need to be able to, I guess, be physically ready to play for both the Mexico national team and for your club team. If you do happen to pick up an injury, then that's just unfortunate in this case. Not to say like it's the player's fault completely. Maybe they did something wrong at train. Maybe they landed on the foot wrong, or maybe they might have strained something there. Just, I don't know. I get where you're coming from, Ivan, when you're saying that you're putting like the blame on the Mexico national team.
I just think it's just, first of all, I think we can all agree that this is very, very poor planning from the federation to put a Mexico game in between.
I do want to put on the record that I don't think there should be any international matches this year. I think that was just poor on FIFA in general to schedule any international matches throughout any confederation. So
yeah, agreed.
In the crisis that we're in, that's very, very, very irresponsible. So just putting that out there.
Agreed. But now that has been played, I think for the most part, you should just keep it at the fecha FIFA, right? Which, I mean,
correct. If you have to play,
this one is not. This one is
correct.
not. That's what bothers me most is like,
correct.
And this is completely off subject because now we're talking that Mexican national thing. But do you ever see these Frances, the Germanys, the Spains? Do you ever see them play against lower European sides where they don't even have to call up their international players? And they're like, you know what, we're just gonna have a training camp. Just give me my domestic players come in. Do you ever see that happening?
I mean,
you don't ever see that happen. So I don't understand why Mexico has to do that.
I guess it's just part of their new program. I mean, we every coach was made aware when Tata Martino was brought in that these camps were going to happen, and whether you agree or not, I mean, you kind of agreed by letting your players go. So, I mean, you can't really blame the camps so much. But I do get your point that we are, I think, pretty much the only national team that does do these camps. So it does seem a little bit irresponsible to kind of hold these camps when it's not a fecha FIFA.
I mean, at the end of the day, your arm's being twisted as a club because you have to let them go.
Correct.
If you don't, well, then you're talking huge repercussions that no club wants to deal with. But again, that's we're definitely straying away from the point at this point.
That's okay,
Christian, I think you were saying exactly the fact that most of these things seem to kind of fall into the category of unfortunate. Right? The Ochoa thing, just
the Ochoa thing. Just the Ochoa thing. The Aguilera thing, the Cáceres thing, the Sergio Diaz thing, the Ibargüen thing, the Gio thing, the Viñas thing. Listen, that's a lot of players I just named already. And I think there's three or four more to go. Those are not unfortunate. Those are not unfortunate. Those are due to something that I guess America just hasn't untapped yet, and we need to figure it out because, like I said, this has been a reoccurrence for about 4 seasons now. And it's just getting ridiculous at this point.
But at this point, where do you fall? Where do you? Okay, I'm not gonna say that the club is not at fault here because they are. Because where I was alluding to this is the players. At what point do you blame them? And 2, at what point do you blame the club for getting these injury-prone players if they should have done their scouting properly and say, okay, this guy's maybe a little bit too injury-prone. You know how things are here at America. Maybe we don't go and fall in line. Same thing that happened with Jeremy Menez, right?
Correct. Just to that point about Sebas Cáceres, he had no injuries prior to joining America. Joining America, he does his second injury already. So I do agree that we do contract, some injury-prone players, Jeremy Menez, being one of them. Santi Cáceres had an injury report back then. Sergio Diaz as well. I understand, but at the same time, though, why are these players getting injured so fast? Sergio Diaz hasn't even been playing for a good month yet, and he's already injured.
And I think he's almost missed a month.
Exactly. So, and there's already people calling for his head. I mean, the guy's played, I don't think he's even played a full match.
Nah, I think he's played maybe 80 minutes in total.
That's what I'm saying. So, stuff like that just can't be happening. It doesn't make sense.
So here's my question: how do we get answers? Because at this point,
I'm going down to Mexico and figure it out myself. Actually,
the club has to be transparent at this point. Piojo might want to deflect it and say no, but look, if you're that confident that your training staff is doing the job that it has to do, and I know he said it very bluntly, saying, "Hey, come down to the practice, you'll see that everything's good." Show me numbers. Show me something. Show me, because I know that you guys are monitoring these players. I know you guys have the chips in kind of like the vest things whenever the game's over. I know you guys have them during practice as well. Show the numbers, present them to the numbers, present to the general public, and say, look, we're not at fault for this. Because then if that's the case, then by all means, then we need a huevo and some water, and we just need to have Olympia all around Coapa, because something is going on. I don't know. Something is going on here that Christian, we cannot have this go for another year.
No, definitely. And I think you say right when it's time to, start looking at the players, because, there are many players in the world, now I'm comparing them to, kind of the elite, but players do take precautions outside of practice to not get injured. They take those extra steps to kind of, heal their body and, rest their body before a game or do something after practice. Those are the little things that can work a long way. There's reason why the very few elite barely get any injuries, because they're doing these extra things. Now I know, let's say America's not in the elite tier of that world. I understand.
We are the elite tier world.
Yes, in my little heart and mind, we are. But what I'm trying to get at is that these players should be more cautious of, number one, who they're playing for, because they're not playing for, just any team. This is the biggest team in North America. They should know that they need to take care of their bodies, and they know that a lot of people rely on them. That's number one. Number two, if they feel like something is wrong, like AJ alludes to in practice and whatnot, they should probably speak up, be like, hey, listen, there's, we should try this. Oh, I don't think this is helping me. Oh, I don't think, this is stretching me enough. Do something. But Ivan, I agree to your point as well. Show us that everything's right. Make a YouTube video about it. We know that he loves making
that, just do something live, because you can edit that.
exactly. We know he loves making contact. We're talking about gibber now. He loves making content, right? So make us all Instagram live of the whole team doing a workout. Do something to kind of calm, or I guess what's it called? Just negate the fact that theory that it's you causing the injuries, that it's not true. Like I even said, we just need proof right now, because right now it's just absurd and it just can't continue.
Yeah, and then of course now you have this whole thing. I'll talk a little bit more about in the segment where you talk about what's going on in Coapa. But I mean, now you have Paul Aguilar, who's probably going to miss the game against Pumas.
Paul Aguilar,
ankle injury.
And now it's just like, okay, at this point, I feel like Gibber needs to come out.
Gibber.
Yeah, that's way he's been baptized like that on the podcast now. He needs to come out and in the next press conference, I would love it if they just said, you know what, for 5 minutes, you have him, ask him anything you want to ask him. Because I think at this point he has to come out and he has to save face at this point and say, look, it's not me, it's not my work, it's not my staff, it's an external factor to all these injuries, right? Because we need answers at this point. Because at this point, someone quote retweeted the injury was like, "Are we?" and said in Spanish, basically saying like, "Are we even gonna have enough players to show up?" Like if it was a Sunday League match, like this is a Sunday League match text that you're like, "Are we all gonna be able to make it, guys?" Like it feels like that at this point. We're gonna have enough players to even play this game.
We're gonna be looking at Forza Básicas players. You're like, hey, you're gonna play next time. They're like, wait, what? They're like, you're getting on. I won't be surprised if we end up like for on the bench. We're gonna see some players from the sub 20, and I'm just like, I wonder why they're there. Oh, that's right, it's because of injuries. They just have to fill the spot out.
So I mean,
and
right.
And at this rate, they're gonna get looks because someone's definitely gonna get injured, right? So these players are definitely gonna get some looks.
It's
now.
like a curse. it's like
Hence my egg theory. You gotta do the whole Olympia.
It's like the thing, like we're mentioning how America has like the Ford curse, where it's like the Ford can only have like 1 or 2 good seasons before they just go on a complete gold drought and we sell them. And I think the whole entire injury plague, where it seems like this player can be healthy, like you mentioned, Sebastian Cáceres did not have an injury, then comes to America, had like 2 injuries already, and it's like, what's going on? Maybe I want to think they're professional athletes, but maybe I'm thinking when COVID happened and they canceled all the games, I'm pretty sure the fitness trainers and the trainer were supposed to send their players like exercise to do, because I know in America Feminine, the fitness trainers are actually sending the players the exercise they're supposed to be doing, and they're like, show us that you've done the exercises for confirmation. It could be one of those things where maybe with America players, maybe someone didn't really follow the exercises routine completely every single day, or maybe where they're thinking, like you mentioned, Christian, like you're a soccer player, you're already training outside. I feel like maybe you shouldn't do anything more soccer related, because then you could have the chance of picking up an injury. Like, I don't know, go do a pickup game or some of your friends that are outside.
I don't think they go do that though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just see Bruno Valdez at a pickup park, just going out.
I don't know. Just
people.
like with their friends or something, at their house or whatever. They have like some place to play. But either way, it's one of those things. I feel like if you already practice enough for that day, I feel like you shouldn't do anything else related to it. Maybe like at night, just go do some kind of like light exercise to make sure your muscles are not completely tense or anything like that. Because then I just feels like, I don't know. It's like, are the players like really truly exercising? It's like, then it comes back to the thing, who's at fault to blame here? Is it the external factors out here? Like, is it like the Mexico national team? Is it the club, or is it the players' fault they're just getting injured? Is the thing that we're just like too confused? It's like, so like, what's really going on?
Or is it the case of just all of the above, Dylan?
This conversation has been everywhere. I don't know what to comprehend of it anymore.
And look, it's going to be a continuing fact. It's going to be a continuing narrative for America for the rest of the season. Because, Christian, like you mentioned, if you're a betting man, you bet that America is going to get another injury before the season ends.
Oh, and I'm definitely a betting man.
You are. You're a high roller when it comes to betting. But that's the case. And something has to come out, and we have to get answers. Will we get answers right away? No, I don't think so. Will we ever get answers? Still up in the air. I don't know either. But if we ever do, you guys will know about it here on the Eagle Eye Podcast, so make sure you guys stay tuned. All right, gentlemen, I think we've talked about this more than enough. It's going to be an ongoing debate, because I promise you we will have more to talk about in upcoming weeks. I mean, we'll see what happens, but so far it's just kind of revolving, and that's just kind of been the news for America this whole week, this whole season, actually, and it's quite unfortunate. So, I mean, we'll have to wait and see, and, just keep our fingers crossed or something.
Definitely.
I will say this, though. The injuries tend to happen after that America final against Cruz Azul in 2013. That's when we start getting a little bit more injury prone. Wouldn't you guys say? We got a little bit more, like, you got Benedetto come in, is injured, and, Paulo Gols would get injured here and there. Pablo Aguilar, sorry. I have a feeling that one of the witches did a witchcraft on us.
I mean, that injury, we all know injuries are part of the game.
But not like this, though.
Not like this. But I mean, I don't know if it started way back then, but I'm gearing more towards maybe start of 2018. I think that's when we really, really started to notice a problem in Club America with injuries. And it's like you said, something has to change, because we as an institution just can't go on like this anymore. Because if you're gonna depend on, it's a problem not knowing what 22 players you're gonna have next week. Whether you're gonna have 15 of them. If so, it's definitely a problem, and it's definitely something that we're gonna have to, I guess, just figure out soon, because this it's absurd right now.
Dylan, who do we have to sacrifice? What do we have to sacrifice to the injury gods so that they can me?
Yeah.
Let's do it right now in front of everyone. Let's just get it over with, because I'm tired of this. All right. Okay, then, gentlemen, let's move on into our next segment. And, we kind of covered most of it. But any updates in regards to the world of Guapa, Christian?
Yeah, so, I mean, we literally just finished, but it's more injuries, right? All right, so Guillermo Ochoa, unfortunately, will not feature for Mexico and Club America out 4 to 6 weeks. If lucky, we'll get him back by the start of the Liguilla, but, it's still time ahead, so hopefully he can recover fast. In the meantime, Oscar Jimenez will be the starting keeper for us. I don't think there should be any worries there. He's been in this position before, where he has to kind of just pick up an empty goalkeeper spot, and perform well. And I think up to this point, he really hasn't disappointed us. So tough, a lot of tough matches still coming up for us, and he's gonna have to be on his A game, but I think he can do it. Paul Aguilar, he left the game with the little discomfort. It's very probable that he won't feature against Pumas, but that's still to be determined. Sergio Diaz is slowly but surely getting better, but unfortunately still not 100%. So I don't expect him to be featured in the match against Pumas. And Cáceres and Aguilera, as you guys know, they picked up injuries in the Cruz Azul match. And it seems that it's 95% likely that they will not feature against Pumas. But like I said, anything can happen though. But it's most likely that all those players mentioned will not be available for Pumas.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
There's a chance, very, very tiny though.
Well, that's the news for you guys, ladies and gentlemen. That is the news.
I have some positive news, I guess, if I could bring it up into this thing. Club America and Fuerza Básica players, Santiago Naveda and Ramon Juarez got called up to the U20 Mexico national team, so that's something good to hear. But then now that kind of worries you because, like, if Ramon Juarez just get called up, then well, I guess that's another defender missing. So
does that impact for Saturday's match?
No,
I don't think
he recently made the call up as well, so like I don't think he's going to be going.
I think he's for next week.
Yeah, I would like to
exactly.
after this, then he's going to be going, and Santiago Naveda.
1 week at a time, please, because I was like Club America, we can't plan out a week ahead. We unfortunately we have to take everything day by day. Yeah, or hour by hour. It seems like.
Imagine, damn. Well, I mean, also in regards to the Mexican national team, I think Cordova and Henry, as well as George, were all called up for obviously the match that they're going to play tomorrow against Guatemala, but then also the European tour that's going to take part over in the Netherlands. It looks like, from what I was reading, that George and Cordova were not going to go.
Yes, correct.
Too many injuries and too many vacant spots. The idea is to let Henry go, but they're trying to work it out so that he leaves after the Pumas game.
Correct.
And not beforehand, which we will have more updates for you tomorrow. We should have a little bit more of confirmation as to whether or not that's going to happen. But I think for a fact, it looks like Cordova and George are staying in Coapa, not going to Europe, which is a bit unfortunate for them. Because I think it's definitely deprives them from a really great experience, but your job's got to come first, and America definitely needs both of them, especially George. I think more than anything. I don't really know who would play on the right if we lose him.
Actually, no. I was gonna say Paul, but I'm like, yeah, but there's the injury thing, so.
Exactly. So I think that's exactly
we switched. Actually, no. I was gonna be like, yeah, let's play with 3 at the back, but I don't think we're even ready to play 3 at the back because if we play 3, then that's just.
You're just giving up the season, AJ. You're just giving up the season. Alrighty then, gentlemen. Let's talk America versus Pumas in the Clasico Capitalino. But beforehand, I do want to remind every single one of you out there that are watching to make sure you guys go check out Foot Cult. If you guys haven't done so already, make sure you guys go check them out. They got amazing gear. They got amazing stuff. And if you guys use discount code EEP at checkout, you guys get 10% off. Gentlemen, you guys loving the Foot Cult?
Love Foot Cult.
Love it.
Literally, they're definitely a fun brand to work with. A lot of cool stuff coming up, guys. So please go check them out. And if you like something, which you should, because there's a lot of flavors to choose from, definitely use code EEB to get yourself a nice little 10% discount.
For all you Halloween lovers out there, they just dropped this great orange training top kit going around with the festive spirit of Halloween. So make sure you guys check them out. And use discount code EEP at checkout to get 10% off all Foot Cult gear. Not just Eagle Eye podcast stuff, but as you guys can see, all Foot Cult gear, which I'm really loving this black Eagles from Mars training top. I mean, love it. Absolutely love it.
Looks good on you.
Alrighty. Well, thank you. Alrighty, gentlemen, let's move on and let's talk America versus Pumas. Clasico Capitalino. We're at home yet again. I mean, the only bright thing about this whole 3-week span of Clásicos is that we haven't had to leave home whatsoever. So I think if we had to travel on the road, that would be way, way different.
Yes.
So, talk to me, gentlemen. How are we feeling coming into this one?
I mean, given everything, I think I'm confident that we can play well enough to make it competitive. Which is something that I think that America just strive for, especially in a Clasico. A lot of people would kind of just diminish this as a Clasico and kind of just take Pumas lightly, but that's the complete opposite. Because Pumas is, if not the same, on par with Cruz Azul in terms of talent and execution. And for some point up till I think 2 weeks ago, they were undefeated. And throughout their campaign, so this is definitely not a light team. Definitely nothing to joke about. And definitely America should start taking this seriously, because this could end bad for us if things don't go right.
Yeah, no, I agree. It could definitely end bad for us. But AJ, tell me, how are you walking into this one?
Oh boy. I'm just really hoping he just perform way better than we did against Cruz Azul. I actually want to see goals being scored into this game, because just trying to watch that Cruz Azul versus America match, it was not the greatest for me. We got a draw, but like Christian mentioned, a draw is something you never really want in Clasico. That's 2 points that you just missed out right there from only just getting one. So in this case, America, I feel like they're gonna really need to just step up despite the injuries. They need to really get something going, like score an early goal to get the momentum going, and then for there on, just trying to score some goals. Let's just keep the roll going and just trying to score goals. I just want to see Henry perform, because it's his favorite team to score against, and I'm pretty sure like the couple of matches that we've had against Pumas, it's always Henry Martin scoring the goals. So I would just love for him to just do his fair muscle celebration and score a goal against Much, which I would love to see. But at the same time, we need to be really careful against Pumas, because they're a well-rounded team overall, and their forward in particular, in Juan de Nino, that dude's completely scary and can be and when given the ball on a one-on-one, or just has a defender in front of him, he will gladly take on the defender and then score the goal. Can't forget about Carlos Gonzalez as well, because that dude from Necaxa, when he was scoring goals to make his way to Pumas, and he's still scoring goals. It's one of those things that we have to not only be careful about Juan de Nino, but also worry about Carlos Gonzalez right there. And the midfield and defense, really, I'd say balanced. They got a good midfield and a good defense, but it's something that America, has never faced against. So we're definitely capable of playing against Pumas and giving them a good fight.
I would hope so. And it's gonna be interesting to see what formation we put out there. And talking about formations, Christian, give me your predicted starting 11, or at least if we even have a starting 11 to go up against on Saturday.
Yeah, so this is definitely be one of the more challenging ones I'm gonna have to make during the season, but here we go. In that we have Oscar Jimenez. Our defense will be Jorge Sanchez, Ramon Juarez, Luis Fuentes, and Luis Reyes. The midfield will be Richard Sanchez and also Gonzalez. On the wings, we'll have Leo Suarez and Benedetti. Your camp spot will be Cordova. And up top, we'll have if Henry can play, it's Henry, and if Viñas can play, if Henry can't play, it'll be Viñas.
Okay, interesting. I mean, I like the lineup, considering everything that we have going on. Do you gentlemen agree?
Yeah, I like that lineup.
Well, I mean, let's hope that's what we get, because I think it could pay dividends for America, definitely. And hopefully going forward too, it can help out. But let's touch a little bit upon this. I know we alluded to it already, but Oscar Jimenez, of course, having to take the role for Ochoa for these next couple of weeks. We did a poll on Twitter, and Dylan, if you'd be so kind as to get the results, we asked all of you over on Twitter as to how confident are we in Oscar Jimenez for the upcoming latter half of the season, since he's going to be with us almost up till the Liguilla. And Dylan, if you'd be so kind as to read out the results.
Yeah, so we put this poll out yesterday, pretty much, about yesterday. So out of 147 votes, 81% said they're confident, 14% said little confident, and 5% said we're doomed.
Interesting. Well, I mean, the good thing is that the majority of people are very confident in Jimenez, and I think we very much should be. I think a lot of people have said it on Twitter. I think he's starting caliber for any other Liga MX team, and he's definitely going to prove himself. Quite the goalkeeper in these upcoming weeks. So, it's going to be interesting to have him there Only question I have now is with this whole defense side of things, because he doesn't have his natural center backs that he used to work with, which is Aguilera and Bruno. Now you're stuck with Ramon Juarez and Fuentes. So it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of all pays factor in this, but we'll have to wait and see. So thank you to everyone who voted on the poll. It was very fun. We love doing these polls, and we love hearing what you guys have to say in regards to this aspect. But talk to me more, gentlemen, about this game. How does America have to approach this match against Pumas in order to walk away with 3 points, Christian? Because I think 3 points are massive. They're needed. They're fundamental.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. I think the midfield is something we need to improve on. I think just moving the ball around, kind of create more chances. Just do the basic fundamental stuff that we couldn't do in the second half against Cruz Azul will be key. Like AJ alluded to earlier, Pumas is definitely a well-rounded team with a great line in every aspect of the field. So it's gonna be very, very, very important to kind of keep the ball away from Andres Iniestra and Carlos Gutierrez, as they will be kind of the ones that will be commanding their attack, and just make sure that Dineno and Carlos Gonzalez don't get the ball as much, because those are two very scary players that can turn the flip the flip of the game in any given moment. So definitely look for us to kind of go on the wings. I think that's what PL will try to do, and just try to be creative with how you do things, because you get a little too stale, and then Pumas will figure you out, especially with Alan Mosso kind of being in that back line to kind of just negate some of the pressure on the left side. So that would be creative in how you approach this thing, and take those long shots, because Talavera will not be in net for Pumas. They're gonna have their second goalie in net, so definitely test him a little bit, test him early, get a feel for him, and go from there.
Yeah, I gotta test those waters, those long range shots. Cordoba, I'm looking at you, my man. You got it in you, so definitely utilize it. I know I just mentioned Cordoba, but who else kind of has this kind of responsibility to be our creative player going forward? AJ, who do you think has a lot of responsibility to make things happen for America with this formation that Christian gave us?
Just to make sure, because I was actually writing down the formation. Did you say 4-4-1-1? Sorry, Christian. Was it a 4-4-1-1 that you said?
And I guess in a way, yeah.
I mean,
I was hearing the
4-2-3-1, no?
It was more like a 4-2-3-1 with Richard Oso, and then on the wings you had Leo Benedetti, Cam Cordova, up top Henry or Viñas, depending on who's available.
So I feel like in this case, like what I'm looking at, I'm seeing that Pumas has a second goalkeeper. They're not going to be having their best goalie up front, and you know how Sebas Cordova loves those long shots, and you know that throughout the season he's been picking his game up and proving to himself that how he can be a player that can be really creative. He can get some shots. You've seen against Cruz Azul, he was the one that was giving it his all. It was individual performances, which is one of the things that I feel like it's going to be a team performance, where I feel like Cordova's going to have to set up some place for his teammates. And he can definitely take a long shot at the goalkeeper. That will be wonderful for him to do. And I feel like he should definitely be a player that I feel that's going to be key into this match, since he's going to be right behind Henry Martin. So it feels like if he really just can't get the ball to Henry Martin, whether he's being covered by defenders, I feel like Cordoba should take the opportunity and just having a crack at goal. He definitely has shown sometimes where he's able to go on a one-on-one or one-on-two with some defenders, just take players on. So I feel like in this case, it's going to be Cordoba for me, the player to look out for in this match and to lead this America side to victory against Pumas.
Okay, this is a weird tangent, but so the FIFA 21 ratings came out, of course, and we already knew Cordoba was going to get a 75. But you know what the craziest thing is? They gave him a 4-star skill move. Do you agree with that, Christian?
And you're debating this because it's too high or too low?
I think it's too high. I haven't seen a 4-star skill move from Cordoba. I've seen 3-star, definitely.
I think it's fair.
I don't know. I haven't seen him. He's not a dribbler to me. I don't think he has that in him to be a dribbler. I mean, he could take players on, no doubt about it. But 4-star skills move, I don't know. I think that's a bit.
No, he's a flashy player.
That's a bit generous.
Yeah, he's a flashy player. I think that's fair. But definitely, Cordoba is definitely probably the main guy to do it and to kind of play make and create our attack. But I think we also got to look at kind of the spark you referenced to earlier, Ivan, and Nicolas Benedetti. I think and anything, I think he was probably the best player that we had other than Oscar Jimenez to kind of give us some life and some point during the match. Seems like he was just taking on two defenders at a time, trying to create something. It's just everyone was a step behind him. And for us, it's great to see that we have a player like that trying to get back into form the way he was before his terrible injury, and that can work for us in the long run. But we need the others to start getting kind of in his rhythm as well, and kind of start understanding each other more. And definitely, but I think could be that difference maker against Pumas.
Definitely. Now he's a 4-star skill move player.
Yeah, you like him as 4-star?
Definitely. Yeah, Benedetti's a 4-star skill player for me.
Yeah, he's nice. I like him.
Which, by the way, Cordoba only got a 4-star weak foot, which I think people at EA don't know what they're doing. All right,
yeah,
he's
5-star.
at least a 5.
Yo, where's my boy? Where's VS's face at? Come on, FIFA. You mean to tell me?
Hey,
Oh,
man,
no.
Sanchez, right?
The faces got added. The pictures I posted were the website that used. It's weird because if you click on the player, it shows you the actual pictures that they're gonna use on FIFA, and they're using the prior one. It's weird. It's weird, but you're right. Benedetti has to be that spark for America the way he was against Cruz Azul. Hopefully, this is not a game where you fall too much into individual brilliance, but you have more of a team play, more of a team effort. I think that's definitely going to pay dividends for America going forward. But all right, gentlemen, enough about all this. Let's talk prediction time. AJ, I'm throwing it to you first. Tell me, Doc, what do you got going?
You know what? We're going for this victory. I got 2-1 win for America.
Okay, you definitely did not say that before coming on the podcast. I'll tell you this much. All right, I'm glad that your enthusiasm has changed moving forward from a couple hours ago. All right, Christian, prediction.
Well, considering these are number 1 and number 2 attacking teams, I think this game will be a little bit more open in terms of, I think, Pumas will take their chances, and I think when time comes, America will take theirs. I honestly think it is probably way out of the limb considering everything. I think it's going to be a high-scoring match. I think I'm going 3-2 America.
Oh, God, I hope not. Can't take a 3-2.
It's more fun. It's more fun that way.
It's not a fun when you're on the edge of your seat. All right, Dylan, prediction.
I feel like people are going to hate me for this, but I think I'm going to stick with the 1-1 draw.
Okay, that's sensible. That's sensible. I don't like it, but it's sensible. You know what?
Like nothing I say. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's that. We were not supposed to bring that out to light, but now that you said it, I was thinking 2-1 coming into this one as well, but kind of not to repeat results. I think I'm going with a 1-0 result, which would be very disappointing because I think this is a game where, again, fall into this what if category. But if America had all their players fit and everything, I think this could have been a much high scoring game for America, where you could have easily have maybe taken the points more than what you will probably on Saturday. So I'm going 1-0. Hopefully that's true, because then that means another clean sheet for this very, very dampered America defense. But at the end of the day, we'll have to wait and see and find out. All right, gentlemen, this match is going to be on Saturday. It's going to be the second Clasico Capitalino to be played as the ladies go and travel to Seoul, and they're going to be playing the Clasico Capitalino as well. Also, the men's will then follow up and play. That game is going to be live via to the NA. You guys can catch that 7 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern. And of course, if you guys are in Anaheim, Dallas, and or Arizona, and you guys have bought tickets to go catch the watch along party. I don't think it's actually called a watch along party. We're gonna call it a watch along party because it seems adequate. It's a drive-in. It's a drive-in watch along.
That makes it sound childish, Ivan. Way to go.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Look, it's been a long day. All right, we've had quite the show today. Of course, you guys know what we're talking about. Not just our show, but the debate that was prior on to this.
Ivan, we're not here to hear excuses from you or your mishaps in the day. Right now, we're talking about America, and you just made us look unprofessional.
Well,
by calling it a watch along. I'm not watching a Disney show to sing along to High School Musical here. That's what I'm thinking.
I didn't call it a sing along though.
But that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, that's you. I don't know. I don't think a lot of people are doing sing-alongs when they're also doing watch-alongs.
Mm-hmm.
But not here nor there. If you guys do end up going to that thing that Club America and Primetime
That thing.
Sports are hosting.
Now call it that thing.
Oh, okay, the drive-in. Excuse me, the
Oh, my
drive-in.
goodness.
If you guys do end up going to the drive-in that they are hosting, make sure you guys send us plenty of pictures. Let us know how that experience was, and please stay safe at all time when you guys are out there. But gentlemen, we've run the course. Whilst I would love to keep everyone entertained with our ongoing back and forth, I think it's time to let these people rest. It's time to go to bed. And we'll catch you guys on Thursday to talk all things Lady Aguila. So then, thank you guys for coming on to the show. Thank you guys for watching. Everyone on SoundCloud and iTunes and Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, thank you so much for listening. And we'll be in touch with you guys very, very soon. All right, gentlemen, you have yourselves a wonderful night. We'll talk very soon. And wear your masks. Please wear your masks. Until next time, take care. And as always, Arriba America. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was another production of the Eagle Eye Podcast, the #1 source for all things Club America in English. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Eagle Eye Podcast and get all the latest news and coverage. And subscribe to our podcast wherever it is you may listen.